Sir, I'll come to your part. I just want to take one small question with you before we move to the next. And these are the topics exactly what I had in my mind to discuss with you. Now, there is one that we talked about. You're talking about building capacities and taking leadership out is definitely a military agenda during any war. But if you look at from Iran's point of view, the decapitation strategy perhaps is not yielding to the right results because maybe the way they have designed or architected their hierarchy. Now, I'm not disagreeing with what you said that we need to build capacities, but are we today as a country and as a force prepared to what, God forbid, if a similar kind of a scenario is there where we don't have a leadership, that level of architecture of the force and the resilience to continuously evolve, improvise, and keep on fighting with the biggest power of the world?
No, is that the right question? Or the right question should be, what measures are we taking to preserve our leadership? And not only that, the big lesson from the Iran conflict is what? Why did the Americans strike? Because they knew that the centrifuges and the other stuff was going to be taken so deep underground
Right.
that it would be beyond the next B-2 strike. So we now have to look at going underground. Leadership, strategic infrastructure needs to go underground. You know which is the only commodity which is more valuable than oil today? Just guess. Air defense systems, Patriots, interceptors. Are they the new oil? Saudi Arabia has to make a decision, should I protect my data infrastructures or should I protect my
Oil.
missiles
Results.
or energy infrastructure? Look at the AD you need. Today, you need a different infrastructure to intercept missiles. You need an entirely different infrastructure to intercept drones. Uranium, आप देखो geopolitical karma देखो. Trump told Zelensky, you remember in that famous broadcast,
Right.
that you don't have cards. Now he's begging Zelensky to give him those Merop interceptors which can intercept the Shahids, along with the drone hunting teams and some other ISR infra. And Zelensky has obliged. Zelensky is also a gentleman. He may not have told Trump this, but he would be privately chuckling, कि Mr. Trump, Mr. President, today I have the only cards which can save your presidency. So these are the investments you need in AD. Look at how the character of war has changed. And we spoke about the character of war in the last podcast. That was how many months back?
So that was in July.
So, एक साल में,
Just
so they
after
have
the-
changed 10 times. But the character of war is changing. You have to make tactical adjustments. You have to make strategic swivels. You have to invest. दिमाग का खेल है, पैसे का खेल है. National security is now for the best and the brightest, not the faint-hearted.
So you spoke about the Indian Ocean region, right? And our building our capabilities in that particular region because Navy becomes a very, very integral part, naval fleets and all. Now, I was going through certain reports of DIA threat assessment and CSIS quantum sensing report. It says that China and Russia are deploying quantum magnetometers and gravimeters. Now, Iran has midgets and mine Hormuz. Today, do we have the capability and the vision, and is it something that we are thinking about developing similar kind of a capability within our force? Because if we want to show as Indian Ocean as a region of or a sphere of influence for us, right? Do we have a capability to detect and to avoid detection by the enemy?
See, I'm not a naval man, so I don't have the deep expertise. But my strategic sense definitely tells me that we should make a turn to the seas, invest in what? Drones, autonomous systems, undersea capacities. Do we have the capacity to take care of internet cables? I'm sure something must be being done about that. But I'm just pointing out to the need to be able to protect Indian interests from Hormuz to the Malacca, definitely. That is before you. And see, people say कि भाई Taiwan doesn't matter to us. Let me ask you this. You forget the history and the legacy. The day the plan, which is a 500-ship navy, the day it clears the first island chain, in 8 years it will be in Los Angeles. And in 8 years it will also be in the IOR. So Taiwan impacts us. We may not say it, but we have an interest in keeping the plan bottled up in the first island chain. So what do we do to contribute to that? Some of it can be unstated, but I'm making a case to, turn to the seas in this large sense, examine what the options are. How do we exert influence over Strait of Malacca? What is our capacity in the Hormuz? Now that will have to be some detailed thinking. I have not done that. But we certainly need to see that. See, where is India poised? We are the fourth largest economy, soon going to be the third largest economy. The Lowy Institute tells us that we are the third largest or third most powerful in terms of comprehensive national power. हमारे आगे कौन है? सिर्फ USA, China. ये हमें समझना चाहिए. Now we are in the big league. We have to play the big game. So, and we must not mistake our weight and influence for power. We have great weight and influence. We have to convert it into power. A ready, deployable power. अभी देखिए आप, what matters in the Gulf, what mattered in Venezuela is not AON, is not technology demonstration, not the Republic Day razzmatazz. It is the capacity in the hands of the soldier, sailor and airman. We have to convert into those capacities. No spin works. Geopolitics is extremely brutal. अभी जो है वो लड़ाई है IRGC और US के बीच में in terms of hard military capacities, not AON, not RFP. RFP से लड़ाई नहीं होती है. So we have to convert our weight and influence into what they say ready deployable power, war winning attributes.
So I've heard you saying, and other military analysts also, that the wars that have happened, the Venezuela operation, the Middle East, is basically a messaging to China, right? It's about saying that who's the numero uno, who's the boss, right? What happened in Dena incident? The US Navy sinking the Iranian ship who had come to exercise for us. Is that a message to us? Because we also claim we are Vishwa Gurus. We are, as you said, the Lowy report that we are military power. We are the fourth largest economy. Is that a messaging that you see?
So you see, let's look at the larger context. I have been saying for very long that we are in the midst of Cold War 2.0 between USA and the Dragon Bear. अब देखिए क्या है. China, you remember Xi told Putin that we are in historic times. There are changes we have never seen before. Let's come together. So what was he saying? Let us come together. And the Chinese have been saying it that the West is in decline. America is in decline. Who has noted this? Trump and the MAGA camp. So when they came to power, they said, yes, maybe we were in decline, but we will take care of all of that and show you that we are resurging. So Venezuela was the first signaling. You see, you read the national security strategy. My interpretation of that strategy is this, that they are saying that the Western Hemisphere will be a firm base. So we'll kick out all external actors. Maduro, especially because he was getting Iranian influence in, getting Russian influence in, and he committed two cardinal errors. I believe he was in talks with Moscow to get missiles which would target the American mainland.
Cuban Missile Crisis, similar to that.
Yes, and secondly, he was talking of trading his oil in yuan, non-dollar currency. By the way, Iran क्या कर रहा है? Iran अभी yuan में ही कर रहा है.
Correct.
So it is all these issues which came together and they said, out with you. They've already squeezed Cuba. Cuba is in a pretty bad state.
No power.
So Western Hemisphere मेरा है. Nobody will come. Should India also talk of hemispheric influence? I merely ask the question. Look what China is doing in its neighborhood. What great powers do. Then what the Americans did, they said, अच्छा, Russia, Europe के हवाले. आप इसको संभालिए, अपना डिफेंस बजट बढ़ाइए 5%. ये नहीं होगा कि मौज मस्ती आप करें and we pay for your defense.
It's clear business mind.
Right or wrong? Yeah. In the Middle East, they thought that they will do one odd suppressive strike. Iran is not much of an actor. And kind of subdue it and let Israel and the Abraham Accords bring the Gulf countries and Israel together as protectors of American interests in the West Asia. अब ये जो हुआ है, how it pans out is left to be seen.
It's complex.
But they were pivoting to the Western Pacific so as to take care of the Chinese. अब देखिए जब ये उलझ जाते हैं तो क्या हुआ, अब ईरान में विडंबना ये है, okay, that is one part of it. Now look at the other issue. Why do I say Cold War 2.0? Look at what weaknesses do. So when the Americans pulled out of Afghanistan, who noted this weakness? Putin. Putin ने कहा ये वेस्ट जो है ना ढीला हो रहा है. So यूक्रेन. जब यूक्रेन में यूरोप and USA did not present a very wholesome front, all kinds of bickering. Israel में Netanyahu was having problems with his opposition, the judiciary. ईरान ने देखा कि ये कमज़ोर पड़ रहा है. उन्होंने किया 7th October 2023. So weaknesses encourage this issue. So one is the geopolitical design and second is weakness. आज, when America is taking out marine expeditionary units from the Pacific, when it is diluting the THAAD infra from Japan and South Korea, who's noticing? China. Will China sense this weakness and do Taiwan? Maybe, maybe not. Not because there are other problems. Xi has discovered that he has spent so much on the military, but those damn 100 generals are all corrupt.
Rocket force.
Rocket force, सारे. So ये सबकी dilemmas हैं. What is the Indian lesson? The Indian lesson is, now that you are in the big league, you have time. There are no direct threats with you. ये time है reform करने का. When did the Chinese close the strategic military lag with the Americans? When the Americans had put their hand in the beehive of Iraq and Afghanistan. This is our opportunity to act, to transform. Whether we become Vishwa Bandhu, how we navigate Amrit Kal, will depend on how we play this game between USA and the Dragon Bear, how we navigate the Cold War by protecting our interests. So it is a challenge for us. If we navigate it well, we could be Vishwa Bandhu. If we don't navigate it well, we may not be Vishwa Bandhu.
But so, we don't seem to be learning from our and improving really remarkably the way we need to, because if you look at, just look at the recent example of the Rafale deal that has happened. 2012, that is when Rafale was T1, L1. 12 billion ki deal thi tab. Today it is 36 billion. Exactly the point that you were making, the cost has gone up, right? And now the question is also that in this due course of time, are such expensive fighters relevant? If we learn the lessons from Ukraine war and what we are seeing happening in Middle East also, you have 17 jets which have gone down of US, right? Look at the price asymmetry. So it doesn't seem that we are moving very fast. And the threat is only looming. China has capacities which you spoke in the last podcast also. They are talking about 1,000 jets a year. They're talking about 6th generation now. Forget about 5th generation. And we are not even able to develop an engine.
So who has told us that we should not make the change? Who has told us that India cannot do the change? What was DPI? Look at the infrastructure. So change can be done. Indians can do the change. We have to take note of the change. You're absolutely right. The taxonomy of air dominance is moving from piloted platforms to unmanned systems and to startups. Startups, not traditional primes. Right. This is not a reflection on the Air Force. This is how warfare has changed. Should we take note? And let me tell you, I've had conversations with Air Chief Marshal Vivek Chaudhary. He agrees. Even the present chief, I had a conversation in Ramsambad. All he was saying is that piloted air power is not done and dusted. Who's saying that? I'm not saying that. We are saying the right combination of piloted air power and unmanned systems. And look how the game is moving. You know a guy called, have you heard of a guy called Palmer Luckey? The boss of Endural?
Yeah.
He started off making VR headsets for fun.
Correct.
Today that YX-44 Fury, AI-enabled combat aircraft, unmanned, He has produced the first prototype for test in 568 days.